Welcome to Friday, which is division dance. This is my lovely division dance. Okay, so same thing as we've been doing. Pause the video whenever you see the questions and then solve. So division, remember, we want to write out our steps of division first, which I'm not done yet. So remember, it's dad, mom, sister, brother, Rover, Chester. All right, so we're going to write that on your paper. And then remember, dad is divide, mom multiply, sister subtract, brother bring down, Rover repeat or remainder. And then if Rover becomes remainder, then Chester is check. So go ahead and make sure that's on your paper. All right, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first problem that we have is 625 divided by 3. Let's go ahead and pause your screen and solve. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to skip count by 3s to make sure that we don't make any simple multiplication errors. So skip count with me. Ready? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. So that should be on the side of your paper or on a scrap piece of paper somewhere near. And now we're going to solve it together. So the first thing I need to do is dad. I have to take 6 divided by 3. So what times 3 is going to get me closest to 6 without going over? And I know that's going to be 2. So I'm going to write the 2 on the top like that. And then now I'm going to multiply. 3 times 2 is 6. So I'm going to write 6 right here. Sister is subtract. So I'm going to take 6 minus 6, which is 0. So I got a 0 right here. Now, brother is bring down. So I'm going to bring down the 2. Now, 2 is smaller than 3, but since I brought it down, I have to continue dividing because I still have something else to bring down as well. So I'm going to see what times 3 gets me closest to 2 without going over, and that's going to have to be 0 since it's smaller. So the 0 is going to go on the top up here. And then 3 times 0 is 0, so I'm going to put a 0 under the 2. And then sister is subtract, so 2 minus 0 is 2. And then brother bring down, I'm going to bring down this 5. So I'm going to bring it down. And then now I'm going to repeat, right? Rover is repeat, so I'm going to repeat, and I'm going to take 25 divided by 3. So what times 3 gets me closest to 25 without going over? So if you don't remember, you can look over here, but I know that it's going to be 8. So 8 is going to go on the top because 8 times 3 is going to be 24. And that's the closest without going over 25. So 8 times 3 is 24. 25 minus 24 is 1. There's nothing else to bring down. And 1 is smaller than 3, so the 1 becomes a remainder. So I get 208, remainder 1. So I'm going to check this one, but I'm not going to check the rest of them just to save time. But you are more than, I would suggest that every time before you restart the video, you check your answer. And how you check your answer, remember, is you take the top number that you got, so 208, times the outside number times 3, and then you add in your remainder. So I'm going to take 208 times 3. So 8 times 3 is 24. Carry my 2. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. So I got 324, but then I add in my remainder, which gets me 625, which is what I started with, this number right there. So we're good. All right, so the next one we have is, and I probably should have put this one first, but it's 98 divided by 4. So go ahead and pause your screen and solve. All right, so we're going to skip count together. So on your paper, go ahead and skip count with me. If you know your 4s and you solved that with no problem, then you don't have to skip count, but you can skip count with me. You just don't have to write it down. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. All right, so my first step is to see what times 4 is going to get me closest to 9 without going over. And I know that's going to be 2. So I'm going to write a 2 on the top, and 4 times 2 is 8. 9 minus 8 is 1. Bring down the 8. 18 divided by 4. I'm going to look and see what's going to get me close without going over. 20 is going to be over, so I'm going to use the 16, which is 4 times 4. So the 4 is going to go on the top. 4 times 4 is 16. 18 minus 16 is 2. And then there's nothing else to bring down. 2 is smaller than 4, so that becomes my remainder. So you should have gotten 24 remainder 2 as your answer for that one. So if you didn't get that, double check your work. And hopefully you checked it before you started the video again. But we're going to go ahead and continue on. The next one is this with everyone's favorite, the 7s. So we're going to skip count by 7s together before you pause the screen. So it's going to be 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63, 70. So skip count on your paper and then go ahead and pause the screen and solve because it's 867 divided by 7. All right, so what times 7 is going to get me closest to 8 without going over? So 8 divided by 7 is going to be 1. So I'm going to put a 1 on the top. 7 times 1 is 7. 8 minus 7 is 1. Bring down the 6. So now I'm going to repeat back to division. 16 divided by 7. I'm going to use the 14, which is going to be 2. So 7 times 2. So 2 is going to go on the top. 2 times 7 is 14. I'm going to write that right there. 16 minus 14 is 2. And I'm going to bring down my 7. So now what times 7 is going to get me closest to 27 without going over? I can't use the 28 because that's going over. So I'm going to use the 21, and I know that's 7 times 3. So the 3 is going to go on top. And then 7 times 3 is 21. And 27 minus 21, or 7 minus 1, is 6. Since 6 is smaller than 7 and there's nothing else to bring down, Rover becomes remainder, and I'm going to make the 6 my remainder. So you should have gotten 123, remainder 6. 123, remainder 6. All right, cruising right along. The next one, we're going to skip count by 5s. So a lot of us know our 5s, so if you know your 5s and you don't feel like you're gonna need it to solve this problem, you don't have to skip count on the side, but I'm going to just in case for my friends that need it. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. All right, so I'm gonna look and see. Oh, go ahead and pause and solve, sorry. Pause and solve. All right, so I'm gonna look and see what times 5 is gonna get me closest to 8 without going over. And I know that's going to be 1. So I'm gonna put a 1 on the top. And 1 times 5 is 5. So I'm gonna write a 5 here. Then I'm going to subtract 8 minus 5, which is 3. And I'm going to bring down the 6. 36 divided by 5 is going to be 7, so I'm going to use the 35 here. So 7 is going to go on top. 7 times 5 is 35. Now I'm going to subtract 36 minus 35, which is 1. And I'm going to bring down the 7, which I'm going to now have 17. So 17 divided by 5 is going to be 3. So I'm going to write the 3 at the top. 5 times 3 is 15. 17 minus 15 is 2. And then I have to bring down one more number because there was all the way in the thousands place. So I have to bring down the last one, which is 2. So now I have to repeat one more time because anytime I bring something down, if I bring something down, I have to make sure that rover stays repeat. Doesn't change to remainder until I'm out of things that I bring down. So 22 divided by 5 is going to be 4. And 5 times 4 is 20. So I'm going to write the 20 right here. And 22 minus 20 is 2. So there's nothing else to bring down now, and 2 is smaller than 5, so the 2 becomes my remainder. So I'm going to get 1,734 remainder 2 as my answer. That's a big one. All right, last one. And this time, we're going to skip count by 6. So I want you to either skip count with me as we're going. If you already know your 6s and you don't feel like you need to write them down, that's okay. But we're gonna go ahead and skip count together. So I'm gonna start with 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54, 60. Then you can go ahead and pause and solve the problem. All right, so I'm gonna start with what times 6 is going to get me closest to 8 without going over. So that's going to be 1. And we know that 6 times 1 is 6. And then I'm gonna subtract. So 8 minus 6 is 2. Bring down the 5. So now I have to repeat and back to division. So 25 divided by 6. And I know that's gonna get me closest to the 24, which is times 4. So the 4 is gonna go at the top. And 6 times 4 is 24. And 25 minus 24 is 1. I'm gonna bring down the 9. The arrow's not really pointing to the right spot, but that's okay. So 19 divided by 6. I'm gonna try to get to the one without going over, so I'm gonna use 18, which is gonna be 3. So the 3 is gonna go on top. 6 times 3 is 18. 19 minus 18 is 1. And then I'm gonna bring down the 6, the last one. So I need to think about what times 6 is gonna get me closest to 16 without going over. So now I can't use 18 because that's gone over. So I'm gonna use the 12, which is times 2. So the 2 is gonna go on the top. 6 times 2 is 12. And then I needed to subtract 16 minus 12, which is 4. All right, you should have gotten 1,432 remainder 4 as your answer. All right, if you got all those right, virtual high five, you are getting this division. Awesome. Have a great weekend, guys. Enjoy some fresh air, get outside, get moving. All right, bye.